Hello everyone, welcome back. We are taking a look today at the Louise Champs, which are basically Duratrax Deepwoods. They are the exact same design as a Duratrax Deepwoods, and I don't know exactly what is going on with Duratrax and Louise, but it appears that Duratrax is basically doesn't exist anymore outside of the few that you can still get, but Louise seems to have picked up the rights for the design or something, but these are very much a Duratrax Deepwoods. So today we're going to see how the Louise Champs compare to the Duratrax Deepwoods, and now that is going to be from memory. I will try to speak as to how the Louise is versus the Duratrax, but I will tell you that in the upcoming weeks or months maybe, I will be doing an actual side-by-side comparison of the Deepwoods and the Champs. But for today, let's try to focus just on the Champs and see how they perform as a crawler tire. Now, I am still using the lapel mic. I have gone back and watched a few of the videos that I've recorded this weekend, and I've noticed that at some points in most of the videos, my voice seems to cut out for a second. You just miss a word or two. I think that that's just going to be this lapel mic. It's a pretty cheap one. I think it's just a little glitchy. But unfortunately, with the wind that I'm dealing with this weekend, at least for today, I need to record on the lapel, because if I record just on the cell phone audio, it's just pure wind noise, and there's already enough of it with the lapel, but on the phone, it's pretty bad. So on to our first obstacle, Decide Hill. We take the Champs across, and they're doing a pretty good job so far. A little bit of side slip, as we always see with a chevron tread. Not terrible. The inserts I'm running in these tires might shock you. It's actually the Boom Racing dual stage inserts that come in the Aggressor. That insert is crap in the Aggressor because it's undersized for that tire. That tire is a very thin carcass tire, and it just needs a bigger insert. But the dual stage Boom Racing insert seems to fit these tires very well. And these are a 475 size tire, but it's just a thicker carcass. There's some ribbing on the inside. And when I was playing around with inserts, those just seem to fit it pretty well. And so far, they're doing a good job. I'm not having a lot of sidewall collapse. Right now, the biggest issue I'm dealing with is side slip from that rear end. Again, something we see often with chevron tread. Definitely something I remember from the Deepwoods. But we are also just dusting off these brand new tires. So let's see how they do. The other set of Louise tires that I've already tested, which are the Rowdies, aka Duratrax Showdown, are a much different feel than the Champs here, and that is a difference between Louise and Duratrax. The Duratrax Showdown and the Duratrax Deepwoods are both their C3 compound, is what they called it. And I mean, it was just the same compound, different tread design, different lug. The Louise Champs and the Louise Rowdies seem to be a very different compound. The Rowdies are definitely a thicker carcass. The compound does not seem as sticky. It's not as soft. You can kind of tell the Rowdy is very much geared more towards a trail or a mud tire, which by the lug design, it absolutely is a mud tire. Uh-oh. Oop. Rolled off, hit the camera. Hold on. I'm not going to forget that that happened, but I believe that that was a product of me running my mouth and not necessarily the rig. Oh no, there's something wrong with the front end. We've got a problem. Okay, our first break on camera. We sheared off the rod end on the upper link. I've got the parts with me to repair this, so let's head back up to the truck and we'll do a repair. All right, guys, bear with me while I figure out some angles here. That should work. All right. So this stuff happens when you crawl on the trails, and especially when you're driving over and over and over again. So it's always a good idea to have some spare parts with you and some basic hand tools. And I mean basic stuff. I carry a basic kit with me. I don't have all my tools. I don't have every spare part under the sun, but I've got enough to do basic repairs like this. Although, do I have shock pliers with me? Uh-oh. It appears one thing that I don't have in my kit is shock pliers, so getting this pivot ball into the rod end might be tricky. I wonder if I have a rod end with a pivot ball in it already. Great. Do not. That's okay. Getting it in won't be that bad. See if I can do this on camera. So with a normal pair of pliers, actually, what we're going to do, yeah, that's, if anybody has a better idea of how to do this in the future, other than put a set of shock pliers in your toolkit. That's true, I should do that. Might try just pushing this down on something. That's difficult. First problem. There we go. Okay, now we've got to get it off that rod end. Unfortunately, I need 2 pair of pliers, which I do not have. Do I? I do. I think I've got some in the truck. So, let's see here. Yeah, there's my Leatherman. Come here. Which way? It's gonna go this way. Be a little slow going here without the right tools, and I'm probably gonna mar up my new rod end, at least a little bit. But that's okay. This is how trail repairs go. You do the best you can with the tools that you have with you. And sometimes it's more of a band-aid than it is a repair. And you are just trying to get it to last through the rest of your time out on the rocks or out on the trails. And then you repair it when you get home. But I think I can make a close enough to permanent repair out here. What I have, it would work easier if I actually took this apart, and actually work easier if I used my correct hands for stuff. I will try to timestamp this video so that you can skip over this part if you don't want to watch it. Literally all I'm doing is trying to replace a rod end with the wrong tools. So unless you just want to watch an idiot make a trail repair, you can skip forward where we continue the tire test. Which I might cut this part out of the video and just upload it separately. Boy, element rod ends sure do go on there tight. I usually tap these before I put them on. But I didn't with these, or these might have been RTR rod ends. It's also, it's not a lot there to grip anymore with the end of that broken off. There we go. All right. So, just, can't see the camera. Just a broken rod end, sheared that right off. So, it's very common for stuff like that to happen. So, always make sure you have spares with you. There's my spare. And this, we might make it easier on ourselves. Really, I should have pulled the axle. I'd probably be easier, but it wouldn't really save me any time. I gotta get it started. This is why I usually tap these first. Makes it easier to get it started. And my fingers are cramping up. I'm exhausted. I don't know if I'm going to get back on the trail today or if I'm just going to wait till tomorrow. I really want to finish up at least this review. I was hoping to take advantage of the fact that the wind had died down, and there we go. Now that I'm talking about it again, shh, wind died down. It's not so miserable. It's still blowing some, but it hasn't been so bad. Anyway, I'm not going to make you watch this. I'm going to stop. Okay, everybody, here we are again. Got the truck repaired, and we are ready to continue the test with the Louise Champs. For me, it's actually the next morning. For you, it's just part of the same video. After the repair yesterday, I brought the Champs back down and I completed the review of them, but something happened about halfway through, and I paused and resumed the recording between obstacles, and at some point I either didn't hit the pause button or something happened, and by the end of the video, what ended up happening was most of the video was just me walking between obstacles and setting up the camera, and then what I thought was resuming the video, but I was actually pausing it, so there was no footage of the truck actually driving, and it was all footage of me just walking around. So I messed that up. Also, earlier in that video, the lapel mic battery, I think, died, and so the audio switched to the phone, which is normally fine. That's what I'm using right now. But with the wind I was fighting yesterday, it washed out the audio. So far with the Louise Champs, I've had a lot of technical difficulties. We had a breakage, we had a battery die, and then I screwed up the recording. So it is the following morning, and good news is there is no wind right now. It is about 8:15 in the morning. The lake is absolute glass. There's not even a breeze. The only thing that I'm going to be dealing with as of right now is it is pretty chilly. There's a good chill in the air, especially down here in the shade, as the sun hasn't really come up much yet. So we'll see how that impacts things. It's not cold, so I don't think we're going to be too bad. And the Louise Champs, the compound of this tire, I think it'll do okay. But let's get on with testing. So again, the Champ is kind of a successor, I'm going to say, to the Duratrax Deepwoods. It is that exact same lug design, very similar compound even. And from what I saw yesterday, that could be a rollout. Boom Racing dual stage foams in these tires actually doing a pretty good job. From what I saw yesterday, the Champs perform very similar to the Deepwoods. I also mentioned, I don't remember if I mentioned it in the part of the video that remains of this tire, but I will be doing a side-by-side comparison with the Deepwoods and the Champs at some point in the upcoming future. But this video here, we're just going to try to try to make it about the Champs. I'm going to try not to talk too much about the Deep Woods and comparing it, because honestly, my memory of the Deep Woods is pretty old. And this is not the versus video. So, on the side hill, the Champ's doing very good. Sorry about the throat clearing, guys. It's morning for me, and a lot of times in the morning I have a lot of phlegm in my throat. The Champ's not having too much side slide on the side hill. We are able to reposition pretty easily. We are able to kind of walk across the surface of this as I please. Ooh, getting a little too throttle happy there. My fingers are a bit cold. I should probably find a pair of thin gloves that I can wear when it is chillier out. See if we can get off this obstacle. I've been rolling out, getting off this obstacle. Yeah, there's a rollout. I need to build something up at the end of this obstacle. Where I'm coming up right now on the loose dirt, the trucks have kind of washed that out a little bit. And so I get a lot more rollouts coming off the obstacle. So I need to build a new exit. And I think I know where I'm going to do it. And I might do that after this video. The exit is not going to be part of the obstacle that's scored, but it'll make it a lot less of a pain. So the Champ's handling side hilling with no issues. We come up to our next obstacle, wet or dry. Today is quite a bit different conditions than it was yesterday, with the lake being so still right now. Part of the obstacle is still underwater, but the water level has gone down significantly. So I'm going to take a different path up to the obstacle, but we will still have wet tires today. It's just that the obstacle itself is not really wet. But that's okay. We don't need it to be. We're really testing how the tires perform when they're wet. Those waves crashing against it yesterday have shifted some rocks around. So I am going to need to stop and address that once we get her up and over here. There we go. You can see that driver rear tire got a lot of mud on it. But once we get on the obstacle, we are still able to kind of drive up it without issue. And I will say, that's pretty impressive from the Champs, because not only are we wet, but we are pretty cold. I'm sure that water especially is probably in the 40-degree range. So that is a good telling of the compound of this tire. Okay, just reset the obstacle, and we are coming up for our second pass of the day. Again, we are a little bit too far zoomed in. We're going to come up this way through the water just so that we can get water on the tires. This is honestly a perfect level for the lake to do this. I wish it was like this every time. A lot of times it's a little bit lower than this, and it doesn't offer me the ability to drive through water to get up to the obstacle. But today we do have that ability, so we're going to capitalize on it. Once again, we're able to come up minimal throttle and straight up and over, zero drama at all. That's really good from the Champs. That speaks a lot to the compound of this tire, especially with the temperatures that we're dealing with, which again are not winter temperatures by any means, but they are early morning in the fall temperatures. Okay, up and over here. This part of the course is not a obstacle in which we score on, but I kind of like to show it because it does have some technical driving necessary. It does test a few things with the tire. But our next obstacle is actually this one here, obstacle 3. And the goal on this obstacle is for that rear tire to be able to hook the edge of this rock and push the truck up and over. This requires a lug and a tire that can conform to the surface a bit, which that does mean it's a little bit dependent on the insert, which is why sometimes if I think a tire has promise, we'll do a retest with a different insert, because you have cases like this. Now this is similar to what I saw with the Champ yesterday. We just have to find the angle that it likes. Those tires are still wet, which is going to be part of the issue here. But we are struggling a little bit to get up here. Oh, almost had it, and then we slid back. Those rear tires now getting a little bit dusty. Not packed, just dirty, a little bit slick. Right now we're just trying to dry them off, because wet, they are not having the grip to hook the edge of that rock. This is worse than what happened in yesterday's video that got trashed. And unfortunately, I believe that this is about the time where my video got messed up. So I'm not going to be able to just clip in yesterday's footage. And because of that, we're going to go based off of how it performs today. We're going to give it another shot before we try the bump. That front tire up. There we go. And it just shuttles to the side. All right, we're going to have to bump on. Oop. And we roll out. Don't tell me that we're actually going to fail this. Let's try that bump on one more time. There we go. So, able to do it with the bump. I do not believe they needed the bump yesterday, but I'm not going to factor that in, because I just want to base it off of what we see today. But I do think that temperature might be impacting it a little here. Coming off on the side hill now. No issues dismounting. And on to the next obstacle. Again, this part of the course is simply driving to the next obstacle, but it's a part that I've decided to include in the videos because it can be messed up. This section right here takes a tire that can reposition well. And then this section, again, not an obstacle yet. Not quite at obstacle 4, but this section requires a tire that has good grip. You need good grip in the front tires so that when you exit on this side hill, they don't slide down too much. And the Louise Champ's doing a great job, proving to be a really good side-hilling tire, which with a chevron tread sometimes is not the case. But today, the Champs are not having any issues at all side-hilling. And then the last part of our transition area. Again, you need a tire that can hook that lip, although it's not as dramatic. There we go. Able to use the side lug to kind of help pull it up. That is driver error. I got my tire down on that crack. I mess up a lot more when I'm driving when I'm holding the camera, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to drive one-handed, and especially this morning it's messing me up because my hand is a little bit cold. I'm going to put the camera down here. My hand's a little bit cold, and I keep goosing the throttle when I don't mean to. Champ's having more issues there than they really should have. I'm going to attribute that to mostly being a fluke, because ultimately it doesn't matter. That's not a part of the course that is scored. But those rear tires are still kind of wet, and again, not loaded, but all the tires are pretty dirty now. And I do believe that that is impacting us. But we always have to take the environment into account when we test this stuff. We're crawling out in the environment, so this is stuff you'll see unless you only crawl on indoor controlled courses. Which, if that's what you do, I don't have a problem with that. It's just not really for me. Again, having issues getting up. I really believe that it is because this filthy lug. Uh-oh. Those rear tires are very, very dirty. Very dusty. The water really impacted us there. And probably dealing with some temperature. If I recall yesterday, we walked up this without issue. But I don't even have that on video anymore, so I don't remember for sure. The other problem yesterday afternoon was I was exhausted having battled the wind all day. This obstacle does prove difficult to pull up on sometimes. But once we hit there, it usually is not an issue. But the champs are struggling this morning. Ooh, there's Slipper. Come on, what we need to do. Oh no. There's that stupid rock I need to inset. Alright, we're able to get up with wheel speed. The next few obstacles coming up are going to be interesting to see how the champs perform because they require forward drive to be working. Alright, now we come up to an obstacle that tests the tire's ability to descend. What we're looking for here on this part of the obstacle is for the rear tires to have enough grip to hold the truck and keep it from nosediving into the ground, but also having enough slip to allow it to slide down once I let off throttle. Okay, that's partially my bad. I took a bad line off that. Yeah. Okay, did a reset. We're going to try that one more time. I think I took a bad line off that obstacle. All right. A little bit of throttle. Throttle control. There we go. That's what we want. Throttle control a little more difficult for me this morning due to the temperature. It is starting to warm up. I can finally feel the heat of the sun on my back, so that should be a short-lived issue. This part of the obstacle more tests the grip of the front tires. A lot of times we end up walking down on our front tires, but there we rolled out. Let's give her one more shot. Getting over the mechanical hang-ups. You know what? I took the line wrong. The more videos I record, the more I catch myself watching on camera as I drive instead of just watching the truck, which is kind of weird. This is the line we're supposed to take. There we go. You would think the more I record, the more experience I get, the less I would do stuff like that. But it's actually been the opposite. So we come up to our arguably the hardest obstacle on the course, both in terms of driving and for the tire. Champ's still struggling with some of that forward drive. There we go. They were able to complete this yesterday. We'll see how they do today. Not getting a good entrance. There we go. No. There we go. No. Too much slide back. Common out of a chevron lug. Nope. We're going to give the Champ several tries at this because I do know that it can do it. And I know that we're dealing with multiple factors today that we didn't yesterday. Mainly being temperature. And those tires are finally starting to dry off, but they're still a little damp. Which, that's probably due to temperature. So, as you know, we need to get over and hook. Oop, don't tip my camera over. We need to get over and hook the edge of that rock, the right side of it, so that we can have the side lug help pull us up and over. Did these do it yesterday? I'm pretty sure these did it yesterday. Honestly, I can't. Yeah, they did. They did. I know they did. So we're able to get up on it pretty easily, but there's a lot of slide back. This rear lug's still dirty. It's not helping me. Definitely a lot slicker. Okay, I think I need to get up. Find the right line. As I talked about, when I see promise in a tire, or especially if I know it can do it, I'm going to give it some time on an obstacle versus a tire that just, you can tell, isn't going to do anything. However, if we're not able to get this in the next couple tries, we're going to call it a fail. And to you, that might not seem fair, being that I'm telling you I know this tire can do it. It did it yesterday. But I can't base this off of what a tire did. I have to base it off of what it's doing now. And of course, specifically with the Champs, we're going to have a head-to-head versus the Deepwoods anyway, so they'll get redemption if they're not able to do it. We need to come on the obstacle. There we go. Okay, throttle. See if we can get those lugs cleaned off a little bit. Just sliding back too much. I don't know that we're going to get it today. That it's just sliding back too much and not able to get the forward traction it needs. All you need to do is traverse the edge there. But as soon as there's any throttle input change at all, it slides back. Okay, this is going to be the last chance. Almost got it. Come on. Come on. There we go. Able to do it, but man, that... Oh, I lost it. I lost it. Come on. Come on, baby. There we go. Use that side lug, which is really what this obstacle tests, is side lug and forward drive. Well, with the first half of the obstacle test. Now we come up to the second half. Whew. That wasn't pretty. here we test a little bit of precision and positionability. Okay. Need to get that front passenger right on the edge of that rock. There we go. Slow, there we go. Up and over. Wow. Well, we did it. All right, now we come up here, where again, we test a little bit of side lug, because we need the driver's side to stay up on the rocks, not slide down, because if they slide down, that's a pretty significant gap for a Class 2 tire. There we go, no issues there. Of course, the side lug on the Champ is decent. Now we got a diff hang up, so we need the forward drive to pull us over, and we're through. That was our 7th obstacle. 3 more to go. All right, this is kind of our last difficult obstacle. My favorite one. Champ's pulling up on the obstacle successfully. Now we need chevron tread, doing what chevron tread does frequently and slipping back, but not falling off. We have enough grip to save it. Front driver is pretty much off the ground. If we can reposition. You are allowed to take any path up this rock that you need, because again, not every tire is the same, and not every tire should be driven the same. There we go. There we go. Now we found our grip. And throttle to get off. Dragging that body off. So Champ's handling that without problem. And now we start what is probably my least favorite part of the course, which is the short trails. Kind of focusing more on the trailing capability of a tire with a lot of loose surface transitions. Oops. The reason this is my least favorite is it's just I have to drive it one-handed because I have to carry the camera. Up and over the entrance easily. Now right here, this part, we're testing the tire's ability to reposition and loose. There we go. Had to take a reverse, which doesn't count against us, but is worth noting. Tread on the Champs is conducive to trailing with that chevron, and I mean, hell, especially with the Duratrax version of this tire being called the Deep Woods, you expect it to be more of a trail tire than a crawling tire. With this rock, as usual, we're getting hung up on the front links. There we go. And we are able to pull up on here and walk over with no issue at all. Something that a lot of tires surprisingly can't do very well. And our last official obstacle, the loose gravel hill climb. As usual, we try to do this with about 40% throttle on the 1200 kV Fusion SE motor. And no issue for the Champs at all. Very good. All right, so the Louise Champs, tackling the course, completing all of our obstacles, and living up to their name. They handled it like a champ. Did have some issues that I believe were largely due to the cool temperature, the tires taking a bit to get dry off, and that tread getting really dirty. But overall, that was a successful run. And the Champs handled our course very well. So as I've said in multiple times now, I am going to do a side-by-side comparison with the Deepwoods and the Champ to find out what is the best. I will say with the Deepwoods, it was a tire that once it kind of got that front edge of the lug knocked off and feathered in, the lugs kind of wore down, it did get a little bit better. Not significant, but the set of Deepwoods I have are pretty well broken in. So I'm going to drive these quite a bit. I'm going to make these the daily driver of this rig for a while and get them broken in before I do that comparison video, because I think that's going to be the most fair thing to do. But in regard to the Champ, should you buy them? I believe that these are about $23 a pair, coming in about $47 a set. The foams that they come with are a single stage open cell foam, but they're a pretty decent one. They're a medium foam, and the top of the foam has that like cookie cutter design on it, like a crazy crawler foam. They're pretty good for an RTR or for a factory foam. But again, I do recommend with any tire putting a dual stage in it. And surprisingly, perhaps the most surprising thing is how well these Boom Racing foams did in this tire. I think they did well because although they're very undersized for the aggressors that they came in, the thick carcass on the Champs kind of takes up a lot of room inside the tire, and so those undersized foams actually fit in here pretty nicely. And the biggest strength of the Champ on this course that we saw today was probably side hilling, so I'm pretty impressed. If you like the Deepwoods and you can't get them anymore, or you can get them on eBay sometimes used, but even then they're difficult to find. The Champs are going to probably be a good option for you. You might wait for the side-by-side comparison video, but also it's probably going to be a few months before it's posted because I need to get these broken in and then I need to get the time to do it. So in the meantime, have a good day, everybody.